Your daughter's wedding can wait. Your sister needs this venue date for her vow renewal, Mom demanded. I'd already paid the $15,000 deposit. I said, fine, and hung up. Then I called the venue owner, my college roommate, and said, Sarah, remember when I said my family was complicated? When my sister showed up and was told there was no reservation under her name. My name's Anthony. I'm 41, a daycare director, and apparently the designated fixer for my entire family. I'm the guy who shows up early, stays late, remembers every birthday, and gets called whenever somebody needs a favor. I run a small daycare that I built from nothing over the last 15 years. 20 little kids, finger paint on every surface, tiny shoes in a plastic bin by the door. I spend my days teaching toddlers how to share blocks and not lick the walls, and then I go home and deal with adults who never learned any of that. I've got one daughter, Lily. She's 21, in nursing school, and getting married next spring to a quiet kid named Jonah who says thank you every single time I hand him a glass of water. I actually like him. That alone feels like a miracle given my family. My younger sister Megan is the opposite of all that. She's 38 going on 16, lives close to my parents, and somehow always has a crisis that happens to involve money, time, or both. She's been married to her husband Kyle for 10 years, and they're planning this huge vow renewal. Because, in her words, we've been through so much and we deserve a magical day. We, meaning everyone else pays, Megan stands in the middle. That's the dynamic. Me working double shifts at the daycare to cover bills. Megan posting boomerangs of mimosas on Instagram with captions like, self-care day while mom comments heart emojis. It was a Tuesday when everything lit up. I was in my office at the daycare. End of the day, scrolling through pictures Lily had sent me of a wedding dress fitting. The building smelled like disinfectant and animal crackers. I'd just finished wiping down a table someone had decided to decorate with yogurt. My phone buzzed. Mom. I sighed, rubbed my forehead, and answered. Hey, Mom. She didn't say hello. Your daughter's wedding can wait. Your sister needs this venue date for her vow renewal. Just like that. No lead-in. No how are you. I thought I'd misheard her. What? I asked, keeping my voice low because one of the assistants was still outside the door stacking nap mats. Mom huffed like I was being difficult already. Anthony, don't start. You booked that place for Lily without asking anyone. And now Megan's in tears because that's the only weekend her photographer and the church and the caterer all line up. Her marriage is hanging by a thread, and this celebration is important for them. I stared at the stack of coloring sheets on my desk, Paw Patrol characters grinning up at me. My brain did this slow, stunned loop. Mom, it's Lily's wedding, I said. We've had this date for months. She steamrolled right over me. Your sister already had to postpone once because of Kyle's job. You know how hard that was on her. Lily is young. She has her whole life ahead of her. She can move it. Megan can't. My jaw tightened. In the hallway, I heard one of the kids laughing high and loud, chasing a toy car. It felt weirdly distant, like I was listening from underwater. Why is this even a conversation? I asked quietly. It's my daughter's wedding, Mom. She clicked her tongue. Because family makes sacrifices. You're the stable one. You always land on your feet. Megan doesn't. She needs this more. Just switch the date. It's not that big a deal. My stomach dropped in that familiar way, the one that meant I was about to get steamrolled again. And then she said it. The sentence that stuck in my head like a splinter. Your daughter's wedding can wait. Your sister needs this venue date. I didn't answer right away. I just sat there in my tiny office with the construction paper butterflies on the wall, phone pressed to my ear, heart pounding. Anthony? She snapped. Are you listening? Yeah, I was listening. And for the first time in a long time, I could feel something in me start to shift. But I didn't explode. Not yet. I just said, very slowly, okay, I hear you. Mom exhaled like she'd won already. Good. We'll talk details later. Megan's a wreck. You can fix this. She hung up before I could say another word. I stared at my phone, at the reflection of my own tired face in the black screen. Lily sent another photo right then. A mirror selfie in the dress, grinning, veil crooked, captioned, "Can't believe this is actually happening, Dad." My thumb hovered over the keyboard. My chest felt tight, somewhere between Mom's demand and that text from Lily, a line I didn't know I had finally cracked. I just didn't know yet how far things were about to go. To really understand why that one phone call hit so hard, you'd have to know the full picture. I've always been the responsible one, the boring one, the safe one. When our dad got laid off when I was 19, I picked up extra shifts at the grocery store to help with the mortgage. When Megan crashed her first car, I co-signed the loan for the second one. When Mom had her knee surgery, I took unpaid leave from work to drive her to appointments. Every time, I told myself, this is what family does. I went to community college at night while working at a daycare during the day. Fell in love with the work, with tiny hands grabbing mine, with teaching kids to spell their names and use the potty. Eventually, I scraped together enough to rent a small storefront and open my own center. It was rough at first. I slept on a mattress on the floor, ate a lot of off-brand cereal. One December, I kept the heat low in my apartment so I could make payroll for my staff. I didn't ask anyone for help. Meanwhile, Megan was always figuring things out. There was the year she wanted to be a yoga instructor, then a year she wanted to start a jewelry business, then a baking channel, then an influencer. Each time, Mom and Dad dipped into savings, or their credit cards, just to help her get started. When those things failed, the story was always the same. She just hasn't found her passion yet. But if I hesitated to spot her cash, Mom would pull out the greatest hits. You know she's not as strong as you. You've always been so independent, Anthony. She needs us. Don't be selfish. You don't have kids. She has to think about her future family. Ironic, considering who was actually thinking about their kid. Lily was born when I was 20. Her mom and I split when Lily was 5. No big cheating scandal, just two exhausted people who couldn't make it work. Her mom moved across the state and slowly faded out of the picture. Calls got less frequent. Birthdays got missed. So it became me and Lily. I built the daycare. I packed lunches. I went to school conferences. I made sure Lily had what she needed, even if that meant I went without. Mom and Megan loved posting photos of her, though. Our little princess, they'd write, under a picture they'd only seen because I sent it. But when it came to actual help, actual time, it was always later. Fast forward to 2 years ago, Lily met Jonah. Quiet kid. Works nights at a warehouse while he finishes his degree. He volunteered at the daycare once for a class project, and I watched him sit on the floor for an hour stacking blocks with a crying 3-year-old until the kid calmed down. That's when I knew he was decent. When they got engaged, I told myself I'd do it right. We didn't have rich people money, but I had savings. A lot of late nights, cheap coffee, and canceled vacations worth of savings. I sat down with Lily and Jonah at my tiny kitchen table, stacks of venue brochures between us, and said, "Look, I can't give you the world, but I can give you a good day. We'll make it nice." Lily's eyes filled with tears. "Dad, I don't need a castle. Just something that feels like us." Enter Sarah. Sarah was my roommate back in college. We lost touch for a while, then reconnected when she opened this small event venue about an hour outside the city. Rustic barn, string lights, an actual pond, the whole Pinterest thing, but without the ridiculous price tag. We went out to see it one Saturday. It was cold and subtle. Lily walked the path where the aisle would be, holding Jonah's hand, both of them smiling like idiots. Sarah hugged me hard. "Can't believe you have a grown daughter," she said, then looked at Lily. "We're going to take good care of you, okay?" The date we picked almost glowed on the calendar. Late May. Good weather, not too hot, not too cold. It lined up with Lily's final schedule and Jonah's job. Sarah gave us a friends and family price, but the deposit was still huge for me. $15,000. Non-refundable. I wired it anyway. My hands shook a little as I hit submit. I screenshotted the confirmation and sent it to Lily with a bunch of confetti emojis I almost never use. She replied in all caps, "Dad, stop. I'm crying. We told my parents and Megan at Sunday dinner. I'd expected at least a little excitement." Mom's first reaction was, "That's a lot of money, Anthony." Dad nodded like he was doing math in his head. Megan swirled her wine and said, "Oh, that's the weekend Kyle and I were thinking about for our vow renewal, actually." I blinked. "That specific weekend?" She shrugged. "It's like the only one that works. The pastor we want is booked all summer, and Kyle gets his vacation days approved months in advance." We'd talked about late May. Mom leaned in then, eyes bright. "You know, it could actually be cute if you coordinated somehow. A family thing. Double celebration." Lily laughed, thinking Mom was joking. "Yeah, that would be weird," she said. No one else laughed. After that, it was little comments. At first, Small. Wow, Lily, must be nice to have Grandpa Anthony footing the bill. Megan joked once, even though she knew damn well I was scraping every corner of my budget to make this work. Maybe you don't need the full package, Mom suggested another time. You could cut the guest list, or just do the ceremony there and have the reception somewhere cheaper. Always framed as helping. Always somehow circling back to Megan. Her vow renewal started as a backyard barbecue. Then it turned into a full-blown event. Matching robes, flower walls, a videographer. Suddenly, her date was flexible, but then every conversation twisted back to our date. It's just that everyone's available that weekend already for the wedding, Megan said once. So it makes sense for us to use it. People can't take off twice. Translation: move Lily's day so mine doesn't have to be smaller. The pressure ramped up. Family group chat. Mom, Megan talked to the church. They only have that Saturday in May. Mega. And that's literally the only week Kyle can get off Mom. Maybe Lily could do something more intimate? You know she hates being the center of attention. Lily read all of it. I watched her face fall in real time. She typed out, "It's my wedding. I want that date." Then deleted it. I saw the bubble come and go. Later that night, sitting at our kitchen table, she said quietly, "Are we taking something from them?" "No," I said. "Maybe too fast. You're not stealing anything." She nodded, but I could tell the guilt had already dug in. Mom called more. Megan cried more. "You got your chance, Anthony," Mom said once. "You had your big day before Lily was born." My big day was a City Hall wedding with a $40 dress and no reception. I didn't bother reminding her. By the time Mom called me at the daycare with that line about my daughter's wedding waiting, this wasn't just about a date on a calendar. It was years of being the bank, the backup plan, the one expected to shrink my life so Megan could expand hers. And I'd finally hit the corner of the cage. After Mom hung up, I just sat there. The daycare was almost empty. One last kid was waiting by the door, swinging his legs, humming to himself while his grandma parked the car. My assistant stuck her head in. "Everything okay?" "Yeah," I lied. "Just family stuff." She nodded like she understood way too well and closed the door again. I looked at Lily's text one more time. "Can't believe this is actually happening, Dad." Then I opened the family group chat. New messages were already rolling in. Mom, just talked to Anthony. He understands the situation. Megan, OMG, thank God. I've been bawling for 2 hours. Mom, see, family always finds a way. I stared at those words. My thumb hovered over the keyboard. For a second, I almost typed something like, "Wait," or "That's not what I said." Instead, I did nothing. I put my phone down, I walked out into the main room and helped the last kid zip up his coat. I knelt and tied his shoelaces. My hands were steady. My head wasn't. Once the door clicked shut behind him, I locked it, turned off the open sign, and went back to my office. Then I picked up my phone again and scrolled to Sarah. I'd texted her before, joking about my family being a circus. Never the whole thing. Just bits. This time, I called. She answered on the second ring, voice bright. "Hey, stranger. What's up?" I took a breath. "Remember when I said my family was complicated?" I asked. She laughed. "You mean when you told me your mom tried to bring her own cake tasting samples to your kid's venue appointment because store-bought is cheaper?" "Yeah, I recall." I let out a short, humorless sound. It got worse. I laid it out. Not every ugly detail, but enough. The deposit, the guilt trips. Mom's little speech about Lily's wedding waiting because Megan needed the date more. Sarah went quiet for once. "Wow," she finally said. "That's a lot of nerve." "Yeah." I rubbed my forehead. "Look, they think I'm going to give Megan the date." "Are you?" "No." The word came out flat. Solid. It surprised even me how final it sounded. "I am not moving my kid's wedding," I said. "I am not eating 15 grand because my sister wants a Pinterest backdrop for a vow renewal." Sarah let out a breath. "Good. So what do you need from me?" "I need 2 things," I said. "First, I want to make sure nothing on my contract can be changed by anyone but me. Not my mom, not my sister. Nobody. Even if they cry, scream, threaten, whatever. Already the rule," she said. "Your name's on it. But I'll put a note on the file. Sister and mom are not authorized to alter reservation under any circumstances. In bold. Second, I hesitated. Megan thinks she's getting this date. I'm guessing she'll call you. Or show up. If she does, I'll tell her the truth. There's no reservation under her name that day. I pictured it. Megan walking into the office full of plans, only to be told the date was booked for my daughter. A part of me flinched at my own pettiness. Another part felt calm, like exhaling after holding my breath for years. I'm not trying to be cruel, I said quietly. I'm done being the one who loses every time. Anthony, Sarah said, her voice softer now. You're not being cruel. You're keeping your word to your kid. That sentence hit harder than I expected, because that was it, really. For years, I'd broken promises to myself to keep everyone else comfortable. I understood and compromised and helped out. This time, the promise wasn't to me. It was to Lily. And I wasn't breaking it. After I hung up with Sarah, I opened the group chat again. Megan, I literally can't stop crying. You don't know what this means to me. Mom, see? I told you your brother would come through. He always does. I typed me. I'll take care of it. That was it. No emoji. No explanation. Let them read into it however they wanted. For once, I wasn't their safety net. I was just done. It took about 48 hours for the bomb to go off. Saturday morning, I was in my kitchen making pancakes. Lily was sitting on the counter in pajama shorts and one of my oversized daycare t-shirts scrolling on her phone. Dad, she said suddenly, why is Aunt Megan tagging the venue in her Instagram stories? I wiped my hands on a towel and leaned over her shoulder. Sure enough, Megan's story showed the outside of Sarah's place. The sign, the gravel parking lot, a boomerang of her spinning in the driveway, captioned, "Manifesting my dream day." My stomach dropped and tightened at the same time. Did you know she was going out there? Lily asked. Nope, I said. I flipped the last pancake, turned off the stove, and tried to act normal. What do you want on yours? She watched me for a second, clearly picking up on my tone, but let it go. Nutella. Obviously. I barely got the plate on the table before my phone started ringing. Mom. Lily's eyes met mine. Put it on speaker? She asked. I hesitated, then did. Hello? Mom didn't bother with hello as usual. Anthony, what did you do? Her voice was sharp, high, the way it got when she was already halfway to hysterical. What are you talking about? I asked. We're at the venue, she snapped. Megan came to finalize everything, and the woman at the desk is saying there's no reservation for her on that date. None. She says it's booked for Lily. Are you seriously messing with us? Lily's fork froze halfway to her mouth. Not a joke, I said, because there is no reservation for Megan on that date. I told you I wasn't moving Lily's wedding. There was a beat of stunned silence. Then Mom exploded. You said you'd take care of it. I did, I said calmly. By not changing anything in the background, I could hear Megan's voice getting louder. Put him on the phone. Mom. Put him on the phone. Mom must have handed it over because suddenly Megan was screeching in my ear. Are you serious right now, Anthony? Do you know how embarrassing this is? I've already posted the date. People have requested time off. Kyle's parents booked flights. That's unfortunate, I said. But it's not my problem. Lily's eyes widened. I don't think she'd ever heard me say those words to my family before. Megan sucked in a breath. Not your? You're being selfish. You already had your wedding. Lily's young. She can wait a year. Lily flinched. I reached across the table and squeezed her hand. My daughter isn't a placeholder, I said. Her wedding is not a rain check you can cash in when it's convenient for you. We booked that date. We paid the deposit. It's ours. Mom grabbed the phone back. I could hear it in the shuffle. Anthony, you're blowing this way out of proportion. Megan's vow renewal is a once-in-a-lifetime chance to save her marriage. You can't be that cruel. I laughed. Actually laughed. It surprised all of us. Mom, my kid's wedding is also a once-in-a-lifetime thing. At least for her, that's the plan. Don't be smart with me. I'm not, I said. I'm being clear. I'm not moving the date. I'm not losing $15,000. I'm not shrinking Lily's wedding so Megan can have a bigger party. Megan's voice cut in again, shriller now. We'll pay you back for the deposit. I almost choked. With what? I asked. The money you owe on the car payment I covered last year, or the credit card you forgot my name is still on? Silence. Yeah, They didn't like being reminded of that part. I've supported this family for 20 years, I said, my voice still calm but lower now. I've paid your bills, Megan. I've bailed you out. I've listened to Mom call me selfish while I quietly wired money behind the scenes so you wouldn't lose your house. And now, the one time I put my kid first, I'm the villain? Mom sniffed. We never asked you to. Yes, I cut in. You did. Maybe not in those exact words, but you did. Every "you're the stable one," every "just this once," every "you know she's not strong like you." That was asking, and I said yes, over and over. I looked at Lily. She was staring at the table, eyes shiny. Not this time, I finished. Megan tried a different tactic. People are going to think I lied, she said, voice shaking. I already told everyone we had the date. Mom said you'd switched it. The coordinator just told me in front of a whole room that it's not mine. Do you know how humiliating that is? I let that sit for a second. Yeah, I said. Kind of like how humiliating it is to tell your daughter her grandparents are skipping parts of her life because they're busy putting out fires your sister started. Mom's tone went cold. If you do this, Anthony, don't expect us to show up for Lily's wedding. Or anything else. My chest did that familiar clench. 15 years ago, that threat would have wrecked me. This time, I just felt tired. You haven't been showing up anyway, I said. You just wanted control. For a second, no one said anything. I could hear the murmur of voices in the background at the venue. Sarah's voice, firm, saying something like, I'm sorry, ma'am, but the contract is not in your name. Mom spoke again, quiet but sharp. So that's it? You're really choosing a date over your own sister? I looked at Lily. She mouthed, don't cave. I straightened. No, I said. I'm choosing my daughter over people who only remember I exist when they need something. Then I did something I'd never done before. I hung up first. The phone lit up again almost immediately. I turned it face down on the table. Lily wiped her eyes. Dad? She said, voice small. Yeah? You chose me. I felt something in my throat get tight. Of course I did, I said. I should have done it sooner. The group chat started going off like a fire alarm. Megan, I can't believe you'd sabotage my vow renewal like this. Mom, your behavior is disgusting. Dad, you're tearing this family apart over a party. I screenshotted everything. Not to post online, not to blackmail, just to remind myself later that I wasn't imagining it. Later that afternoon, my Aunt Carla, one of the few neutral relatives, texted me. So, I just got an earful from your mom about the venue drama. I asked her who booked first. She wouldn't answer. So I'm asking you. I sent her a photo of my signed contract with the date stamped from months ago. Then a screenshot of Mom's message about, your sister needs this date more. She replied with just, got it. Words spread faster than I expected. By Monday, my cousin messaged Lily to say, for what it's worth, we think what your dad did was right. We're on your side. At the daycare, nothing changed. Kids still tried to eat crayons. Parents still forgot extra clothes. Life went on. But in my phone, in that family chat, it was absolute wildfire. They called, they texted, they rotated between rage and guilt and silence. I didn't block them. Not yet. I just didn't respond. And as the days passed, something wild happened inside me. The guilt started to shrink, and the anger started to cool into something clearer. Not revenge, just boundaries. Lily's wedding day came faster than I thought it would. The morning of, I stood outside Sarah's venue, watching the staff set up chairs by the pond. White folding chairs, simple flowers, nothing fancy. Just ours. The sky was bright, a little windy. One of the flower girls, one of my daycare kids, was chasing petals blowing out of her basket. I checked the seating chart again, even though I knew it by heart. There was a small section Lily had labeled, Family. My parents' names weren't on it. Neither was Megan's. We'd sent them invitations, real ones, in the mail, addressed properly. No one RSVP'd. No one called. The group chat had gone quiet about 2 months after the venue drama. Mom still posted things sometimes. Photos from Megan's scaled-down vow renewal in a rented community hall, captions about finding joy after betrayal, but she'd stopped tagging me or Lily in anything. We never commented. At first, that hurt. Then it just didn't, because while my parents were busy writing their own version of the story, Lily and I were living ours. We picked her playlist. We did cake tasting with Jonah's parents. We had nights where she came over after class and tried on shoes while we watched old movies. Nobody asked me to cancel anything. Nobody hinted that I should go smaller. Nobody called me selfish. Standing there by the pond, watching Lily step out of the bridal suite in her dress, I felt something I hadn't felt around my family in a long time. Peace. She looked at me, eyes already glossy. "Do I look okay?" she asked. I swallowed past the lump in my throat. "You look like someone who's getting exactly what she deserves," I said. "A good start." We walked down the aisle together. There were a few empty chairs in the back where some extended relatives had bailed last minute, probably not wanting to pick a side. But the seats that mattered were full. My daycare staff, Jonah's family, Lily's friends. People who showed up because they loved her, not because they were keeping score. When the officiant asked, "Who gives this woman in marriage?" I didn't say some long speech. I just said, "Her dad, who's very proud of her," and kissed her on the forehead. Later, during the reception while Lily and Jonah danced, I stepped outside for a minute. The air was cool. The venue lights reflected off the pond. My phone buzzed. A message from an unknown number. Saw pictures through Carla. Lily looked beautiful. Hope you're happy. I knew it was Mom even without a name saved. That vague half-ownership tone? I stared at it for a long moment. 10 years ago, I would have jumped on that, replied, tried to open the door, smoothed things over even though I was the one bleeding. This time, I didn't feel that pull. I just felt done. I typed back slowly. We are happy. I'm not available for any more conversations that involve money, guilt, or choosing Megan over Lily. I hope you and Megan have the life you want. I'm building mine with my daughter now. I hit send. Then, I turned my phone off and slipped it back in my pocket. When I walked back inside, one of my daycare kids ran up and grabbed my hand. "Mr. Anthony," he said, "they're doing the dad's dance, and Lily said you have to come right now." I laughed. Real, full, from the chest laughed. Okay, I'm coming," I said. On the dance floor, Lily put her arms around me and rested her head on my shoulder. The music was low. People were talking quietly around us. "Thank you," she murmured. "For what?" "For choosing me. For not letting them win again." I closed my eyes for a second. Let myself feel the weight of that. "Here's the thing, kid," I said. I thought keeping the peace meant letting them walk all over me. I thought that was love. It wasn't. This, I squeezed her a little tighter. This is, she sniffed, then laughed. "Cheesy, Dad." Okay, just dance," I said, but I was smiling. The moral of all this? Family isn't the people who yell, "We're family," every time they want something from you. Family is the people you can finally be honest with, the ones you can say no to and still sleep at night, the ones who show up without demanding you bleed for it. I spent decades letting my parents and sister treat my wallet like community property and my life like a backup plan. The day I refused to move my daughter's wedding for a vow renewal was the day I stopped being their bank and started being Lily's dad in the way she actually needed. I didn't get revenge. I got something better. Boundaries. And I'm never giving those up again.